Okay, so now we're recording. This is the College of Computing's 3-Minute Madness event, and which faculty members will present their research and teachings. And so whoever's first, you can go ahead first.
But you have to allow presenter to share screen.
Okay, so let me see. Is that working now?
Okay, let's get started. I'm Tae-Soo Kim, a professor in the School of Cybersecurity and Privacy and School of Computer Science. DARPA has been organizing several grand challenges to solve important societal problems. That's why we see self-driving cars on the road, an active development of humanoid robots in industry these days. In this year, DARPA organized a new grand challenge called AI Cyber Challenge, shortly AIXCC. The goal of AIXCC is to address security problems by using generative AI. The competition was announced last year, and about 100 teams are competing in the semi-final, and top 7 teams proceed to the final next year. In fact, if you win this competition, there is about $4 million over prize. In fact, the semi-final happened last week, and we just came back from Las Vegas. I'd like to announce that our team just won the semi-final. So that together with 6 different teams, we are going to compete in the final next year. We are Team Atlanta, a joint team of 6 different organizations, and we have about 20 or more hackers in our team. However, it is still a long way to go, like any other grand challenges at the beginning. Let me explain what is AIXCC in short term. In this competition, we will be given a source code repository, and your job is to find and fix the vulnerability. It seems straightforward, however, there are lots of challenges in AIXCC. First, we have to support 10 different program languages and formulate the bug triggering input. And we have to generate a patch for real-world software like Linux kernel that has more than 20 million lines of code. Importantly, we have to automate this process without having human in the loop. Our initial system, called Atlantis, shows great promise during the competition. We are the only team that actually found zero-day vulnerability in one of the popular software called SQLite 3. If you're interested in joining our team, the door is wide open and feel free to contact us. Thank you. Okay.
All right, I guess next is me. Let me share my screen. And all right, let's get started. So I'm Sehun. I'm an assistant professor at School of Interactive Computing, and I'm studying animation. But also these days, I'm highly interested in the applying what I learned from the animation community to robotics, and also that many of my study deeply involved the deep reinforcement learning. So here are a few selected projects. Is it playing? Yes. We retarget the human motion for the onto the quadrupedal robot, so that we can teleoperate the this quadrupedal robot. Note that this quadrupedal robot is not aware of any test. Just we send the retargeted human motion to the quadrupedal robot, and everything is teleoperated. So we're hoping that this kind of task can be transferred to much complex robots and tasks. Then we start to extend our technique for a variety of the scenarios. For instance, here we target the same motion onto 3 different robots: a spot robot, and the daisy hexapod, and the stretch robot, which is the mobile manipulator. Then you can see that actually those robots are doing their jobs in their own way. Then our question was, where these techniques are actually useful, will they be transferred to real robot? And answer is yes. Actually, we target the sword fighting motion onto the robot, and then we send those generated model commands to the real robot, and you can see that this human sword fighting motion has been transferred to this quadrupedal robot with the manipulator. Then we start to advance this technique a lot. Like for instance, this is the newer version of the work that it can also transfer different kinds of the more variety of the motions using the deep reinforcement learning. We advance the technique using the correspondence learning. And also there we start to see if actually they can be transferred to the multi-character scenario. Here that we take the two humans powering motion, and then we interpret this in our own way and translate into the two robot dogs motion. And you can see that this is still under development, but you can see that the gist of the motions are transferred to the robot. So this is some selected project from these are selected project from our lab, and if you are interested in, feel free to contact me. Thanks for your attention.
Hi, everybody. My name is Amy Bruckman, and first I want to say welcome to Georgia Tech. We're really happy you're here, and I love hearing about all the other faculty's projects as well. I study people's behavior on the internet. Basically, the ways that we design online systems changes how people behave on them, and that changes everything about our modern society. I do research on social and collaborative computing to make the world better, trying to think about how to help people to work together and do pro-social things. I've been working on promoting understanding across difference. We just have a paper accepted for CSCW in Costa Rica in a couple months about how people talk about guns online. And why do people who are pro and anti-gun never talk to each other? And could we find ways to help people to have meaningful conversations with people they don't already agree with? I'm actually a Reddit moderator on Argotech and Our Science, and if you want to study things on Reddit, I'm always excited about that. Also do some research on content moderation, where we think hard about how to balance freedom of speech and people's right to be free from harassment and harm. A couple projects we're working on now. One of them is we're looking at supporting service industry workers, particularly people who work at Starbucks, just as a sample population. And what we find is that workers who have better communication with other workers have better work quality of life. So could we think about how to help people to find ways to talk to other people? There is a whole movement in human-computer action towards trying to help low-paid workers, and we are part of that. Another project we're working on now is about understanding how people get recruited to hate groups. So we're studying, for example, the Reddit group Men's Rights, and finding that there are a number of non-hate groups which serve as recruiting grounds for hate groups. So if we can understand how people are being funneled into hate groups, maybe we can reach out at the recruiting ground level and understand the people better to help them to not get drawn in. Generally, I start by studying existing systems, usually with qualitative methods. I talk to people. I love talking to crazy people on the internet. And you usually, when you talk to them, find most people are more sensible than you thought they were. We also collaborate with people who do big data analysis, looking at terabytes of data from social media platforms. I love building new platforms to try and accomplish pro-social aims. And if you're into building interactive internet applications, I would love to talk with you. And then we always deploy our systems with real users and find out what happens. In the fall, I'm teaching CS 6470, design of online communities, where you do a qualitative study of an online community. If you're interested in doing research with me, taking that class is the required first step. If it currently has a wait list, but everyone always gets in off the wait list because some people show up thinking it's going to be easy and it's not, and they drop at the last minute. So if you're interested and you're on the wait list or are about to get on the wait list, please just come because so far everyone has always gotten in. I would love to see you in class and especially love to talk to people who love building interactive applications. And again, welcome to Georgia Tech.
Hey everyone, welcome to Georgia Tech again. I'm Aditya Prakash. I'm an associate professor in CSE. My research interests are in data science, machine learning, and AI, but mainly focused on problems dealing with networks and sequences. So networks means things are connected to each other. There are relationships which you want to leverage, and sequences means that there is a temporal aspect to their behavior. So a lot of our work in my lab is really motivated from real world applications such as public health, urban computing, the web, and engineering. So we talk a lot to domain scientists in other fields and try to make sure that our advances which we make in computing are used and implemented in real-time applications. So just as an example, we were heavily involved in responding to the COVID pandemic, for example, in various ways. We had one of the first deep learning algorithms and frameworks to forecast the pandemic in the US used by the CDC. And then also a lot of different other non-pharmaceutical intervention design policy, adaptive surveillance, a lot of different things which we have been doing, motivated from, again, real problems. So our methodologies come from various fields. We work a lot on simulation modeling, and especially how do you bridge them with AI and ML. So we have had some recent papers on that space, especially about calibration, inference, model selection. A lot of work also on network mining, network design, anomaly detection, dynamic networks, and also time series mining, which is like a lot of these problems are spatiotemporal problems. So forecasting, anomaly detection, clustering, handling corrections in these applications. So again, work closely with domain experts. So one thing which we have been recently working on, a few of my students, is on probabilistic time series analysis, which we are actively trying to build a toolkit on doing accurate, well-calibrated, and explainable time series analytics. So as part of that, we have been also working on foundation models for time series, repurposing LLMs as well, with a lot of stakeholders, including industrial and agencies. So I won't go into detail, but some of the applications we have been working on is on in this application, in this space, is public health, infrastructure, and video streaming analytics. So as an example, one of our algorithms, which will be presented soon in next week at KDD in Barcelona, is on industrial demand forecasting and has been implemented by Dow. So we will work closely with them and their unique data set and unique challenges, and there are a lot of ML problems here which we need to solve, especially dealing with sparsity, scalability, and high dimensionality. So, okay, so big picture, a lot of our work connects to different areas in CS, but also different areas outside CS. So we are very outward looking in the group, biology, engineering, social science, technology, we talk to all of them. And I think that leads to fun projects. And I'll skip all of this. Thanks to all my students. And if you want to contact me, that's my website and email is there. I'm teaching Data Meets Epi in fall. So looking forward to seeing at least some of you there. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Would like to advertise the course I'm teaching this fall, which is a data-centric machine learning special topics class. I'm Steve Mussman. I recently started 2 weeks ago. I'm an assistant professor here in SCS. So the format of this course is going to be a research-based course. So roughly half of the course will be spent reviewing research literature, and the other half will be working on completing a semester-long team research project. The timing is unfortunately kind of unfortunate. It's 8 a.m. on Monday and Wednesday, but love to have you if you can manage. So what is data-centric machine learning? Perhaps data-centric machine learning can be best described by contrasting it with model-centric machine learning, or the kind of standard model-centric machine learning paradigm, where we're given a data set and we want to design a training algorithm that makes accurate predictions. So in a little graphic, this looks like, we download some data set. We have the inputs as the gray boxes and the outputs as the up or down arrows. We randomly sample our download data set to training data and test data. We wanted to come up with some learning algorithm that takes as input the training data and output some predictor, maybe a neural network model or something. And then we can apply that predictor on the test data inputs and then compare them with the test data outputs and get some resulting score like 75% accuracy. If that number is high enough, then maybe we can make a submission to an ML conference. So this paradigm has made a lot of progress over the last decade or so in computer vision, NLP, and a variety of other areas, and a lot of successes. Unfortunately, though, many, if not most, of practical use cases don't satisfy assumptions, such as their, assumptions, things like, collecting data, training and testing in a sequential manner, train and test data from the same distribution and data points being independently sampled, among others. And data-centric ML tries to relax these assumptions, which often have to do with the data, such as active learning, which interleaves data collection and training, or weak supervision, which takes information or data that's not input-output pairs. So you should take this course if you want to learn about a practically relevant trend in machine learning and broaden your view of machine learning, as well as in terms of soft skills, improve your paper reading and analysis skills, practice and build confidence in discussing research, and create and execute a data-centric machine learning research project over the course of this semester. Next steps would be, you can find the syllabus on my webpage, send me an email, or come by my office next week, and of course, register during the wait list. That's it. Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Jan van den Brand. I'm going to briefly introduce the theory group. So you see here, those are the faculty in our theory group. We work on many different flavors of algorithms, so probabilistic algorithms, discrete optimization algorithms, continuous optimization, online algorithms, many different flavors of algorithms, basically. And the theory group spans across CS also to other schools here at Georgia Tech. So Rose McCarthy here is a mathematician. She's in the math department, does structural graph theory, but that's also very important for many graph algorithms. So she's part of our theory group. And Mohit Singh, he is in the ISYE department. So that's the industrial and systems engineering. He does optimization for more industrial applications, but is also in our theory group. And we as a group, we have a bunch of interesting events. So every week there are 2 seminars. On Monday at 11 a.m., we typically have an external senior speaker who's going to talk about their research. So when I say senior speaker, that's often like postdocs or professors from other universities, and they're going to present their research, what's currently going on over there. And after that seminar, after that talk, we will have lunch. So you can talk to the speaker and you can talk to other faculty and other theory students and talk with them. And then also on Fridays, we have the ACO student seminar. So every Friday at 1 p.m., that's typically a seminar held by students. So PhD students here are going to talk about their research. If they recently made a discovery and are going to present a paper at a conference soon, then first they will present their research there in the seminar. And there's also, again, free lunch. So we will have pizza there. And frequently, the theory group, we also have other events, some kind of workshops or conferences that we host here at Georgia Tech. And in general, you can find a lot of information about this either on arc.gartech.edu or on aco.gartech.edu. And about the courses that are offered in this year, so we will have the Intro to Graduate Algorithms both in fall and in spring. We will have some more advanced courses as well. So this fall, there will be the Randomized Algorithms class and the Counting and Sampling class. In general, when you see some course with the course number 8803, Steve already advertised his course, for example, those are always, well, typically they are by professors talking about their own research. So you will see some exciting stuff there that is often not even in any kind of books, because that's current research that was discovered within the past 1 or 2 years. So these courses are always exciting. And we will have more of these 8803 courses in spring, where Sahil Singla will teach about algorithmic game theory, and Will Perkins will talk about random constraint satisfaction problems. All right, thanks.
Hello everyone, my name is Shui Zhang. I'm assistant professor at the School of CSE. My lab works on designing machine learning algorithms for studying molecular mechanisms in biology in single cells. So the type of biological problem we like to answer is to understand the process of cell differentiation. How do cells become different cell types? Or ambitious goal is to answer the question how a single fertilized egg develops into a very complicated organism. So the type of data we use is basically something like a high-dimensional matrix or multiple high-dimensional matrices. And given these matrices, we perform machine learning algorithms to try to answer biological questions. An example is if we have data from, let's say, a cohort of patients with different disease severity. Let's take COVID example. Some people are healthy control, some people have mild, and some people have severe symptoms. We get all their data and we want to learn, we want to integrate their data, and we want to learn which features are these condition specific, and we want to also be able to perform prediction of unseen data sets. So here is a model that we developed that use a variational autoencoder framework. And another example is a non-deep learning method, basically where we design objective function with different loss terms, and we aim to solve this optimization problem. And some other neural network-based methods that we have used before is to use graph neural networks to try to estimate biological networks in cells. If you're interested, and please drop me an email. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. First, welcome to Georgia Tech. I'm Boju. I'm an assistant professor at School of Interactive Computing. So today I want to introduce you my research on computer graphics, computational physics, and scientific machine learning. And so I want to show you a few images and videos that we have been working on. related to the simulation, modeling, and the learning of many different kinds of physical systems, such as this cherry on water animation. And typically, we wanted to simulate the interaction between objects that are heavier than water but still can stand on top of water. So this is the simulation of a soap bubble. So we developed simulation algorithms to simulate its deformation, its color, and its topological changes. You see a lot of fluid, so this is another simulation of fluid. It simulates the underwater vortices and the interaction between solid objects. And this is a larger scale simulation of ocean waves interacting with the boat. And these are the simulations we have developed, which won a Best Paper Award in last SIGGRAPH Asia to simulate the interaction between air vortices and dynamic rigid objects. So these simulations can be used to produce the vortex evolution behind the propeller and the vortex wakes produced by hummingbird wings, and a lot of solid fluid coupling simulations that you see. This is the simulation. These simulations are produced for these interactions published in our latest SIGGRAPH Asia paper in 2024. So this is another simulation we have been working on about ferrofluid, which is a very complicated physical system between magnetic force and the water surface. So this kind of physics can also be used to develop the design of small software robots that are driven by magnetics. Also simulate drones, and we also develop computational algorithms to design drones, including both its controller, its shape, and the different kinds of topology and structure. So this slide shows you a few computational design algorithms we have developed to design biomimetic materials driven by an algorithm called topology optimization. We want to design objects such as dragonfly wings and bird feet to mimic a very complicated geometry. So in this last video, I want to show you actually a synthesized video. So the first part is a YouTube video, but the second part is the prediction with the fluid dynamics prediction generated by our AI algorithm. So you can see how similar these two videos are, and the key thing is to develop the physics trials embedded in machine learning to do this seamless prediction. So this summarize my research on simulating and learning different kinds of physical systems. Thank you for your attention, and welcome to Project Echo.
Hello, I'm going to share a video on behalf of Vlad first, and then also a video on behalf of Bruss. So bear with me a second.
Excuse me, I just wanted to let you know we can't hear you. Your audio. Excuse me, I don't know if you can hear me, but your audio, we were not able to hear your audio, so I'm wondering if you can repeat your presentation.
Okay, Teresa, okay, he was not live, like, this was a video that he gave me to play on his behalf. So, on my end, I have the audios as loud as possible. I don't know what's happening, but, I'm gonna play the video from, Russ's video, now, like, hopefully you can still see the screen.
We can't hear anything. I think there probably
Yeah.
should be another way of plugging the audio through. There's probably a way to do it through Zoom.
Yeah, Iris, I think there's an option to connect your computer's audio to Zoom at the beginning when you log in. So you need to check that option.
Okay, and again, everyone, I'm sorry if that was not audible, but I just want to keep everything moving.
Hey,
And
can I
so,
just make a suggestion, Iris? When you share, and sorry about this, but when you share these videos, you'll first select share, and then you'll have to click share sound. And if you don't click share sound, then the audience won't be able to hear the sound. So maybe try that.
okay, I'll try that the next time. Like, this is my first time doing Zoom. I tried to play with it yesterday, but thanks for that. And we'll have the next person, like, is it Kira?
Yeah, hopefully you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'm Joel Kira, associate professor, I think literally as of today, and at the School of Interactive Computing. And so I joined in 2018, and my research is at the intersection of deep learning and robotics, and focusing a lot on kind of acting in the open world where lots of things change, and how can we be robust to such changes, as well as perform decision making on given those changes. So I have a number of PhD students shown here who do all the awesome work, as well as typically every year a number of masters and undergraduates as well. And then in terms of teaching, I'm actually teaching a new vision language foundation models course this semester, and then typically in the spring I teach the deep learning class. So again, my kind of research is in several buckets, some starting with kind of pure computer vision machine learning. So we started out a while back looking a lot at things like how can perception deal with changing environments in the open world, including semi-supervised, self-supervised learning, few-shot learning, so learning with very few examples, continual learning, and so on. Of course, a lot of that has recently changed with these huge foundation models. So we're looking a lot now at, of course, combinations of vision and language. How can we leverage language to improve our robustness when performing computer vision? So dealing with completely new unknown categories, environments, and so on. And then also even how can we take these huge models that Google and Meta and others train for us or pre-train for us, and how can we robustly fine-tune them to our own data sets without losing their nice magical generalization capabilities. And then really kind of that's on the perception side, but then we have work that's moving increasingly towards the decision-making side. So actually a new area that's kind of in the intersection is looking at like web or vision language model agents. So for example, if a user says, I want to order this vase that's pictured here, can an agent automatically take the vision and language inputs such as like web pages and so on, and actually perform the actions necessary to like find the similar item, add it to the shopping cart, check out for you, and things like that. Basically automating all of the tedious things that I have to do in my life. And so there's a lot of interesting research questions there related to planning and reasoning. So how can vision and language models reason, plan, ground the language side to the things that it's actually seeing on the vision side, and so on. And this is actually a new area. We haven't actually started publishing in these, but are working heavily. And then the third kind of area is actual robotics. So here it's very similar vision language models for decision making and planning, but actually also intersecting with physics and the real world, which is really hard. And so kind of thinking about how can we scale robotics in the deep learning era, and this includes doing better simulation, for example, using all the amazing 3D models that can automatically build me a 3D reconstruction of environments and train robots in those reconstructions to basically have generalizable robotics. Self-supervised pre-training, and then combining, of course, again, language models and multimodal models, especially how can we, once we have robotics that has to do decision-making at very long kind of horizons, so you have to do thousands of actions, how can we actually fit these into these transformer foundation models, which is a really hard problem. And then finally, vision language action models, which are basically, you know, taking llama and vision language variants of those and directly fine-tuning them. So they were trained on vision and language on the web, how can we directly fine tune them to output actions rather than just language? So there's a lot of exciting areas here at the intersection of all of these things, and especially again, just how can we increase and push the boundaries on generalization to completely new and open world environments. So if you're interested, feel free to reach out. Thank you.
Hey, so I'm a graduate research assistant, master's student with the TID lab, and I'll be presenting on behalf of Dr. Best since he unfortunately couldn't be here. The TID lab operates at the intersection of computing and society with the global south as well as Africa and Asia primarily. The lab focuses on the interaction of technology with these areas, and beyond just within the lab, we do field work engagement, and as well as we've had students and different people go abroad to work on different things related to this. And it's a very interdisciplinary group mixed of computer science, engineering, social scientists, political scientists, policy experts, mostly focus on a social impact related to technology in all of these areas. Some of our projects are as follows. Digital Threats to Democracy is this ongoing initiative that we have around tracking social media around election times. We're working with Fulton County on this specifically. We have the system AGI, which is a human in the loop system that feeds in social media data from identified target accounts that could have misinformation related to polling candidates, any of those things. And we have a system using machine learning as well as different individuals to monitor this and to take the appropriate responses when needed to prevent misinformation around election times. This initiative is going through November through the election and is being used in real time. Some of our other projects is we have one around digital determinants of health outcomes that specifically focuses on underrepresented Black and Latinx youth and the health risks towards them. We've developed a platform around these health risks, which focus on social media data and misinformation. That area primarily we focus on COVID as well as other things, and built nudge systems around this to be able to interact with people at risk. This was done with Emory and in relation to real-time patients and people at risk, and has been used by those hospitals and universities as well. We have further projects around sustainable innovation, which we have a project that goes on around maker spaces in Asia as well as other developing nations that focuses on looking at how innovation can be used to help these areas and further an impact on how we can do better development engineering in these places and what the current societal patterns in those places relate to maker spaces and innovation. We're part of the Institute for People and Technology, one of 10 interdisciplinary research labs. We lead primarily with people, so we focus on people and study that and then choose how we innovate with technology. We have speaker series, research showcases, and other forms of engagement related to this. There's also research infrastructure around health data, softcraft labs, sensor networks, monitoring and deployment systems, etc. And we have a very broad interdisciplinary network. So it's not just engineering or computer science, it relates to political science, policy. And if you're interested in this type of interdisciplinary study, connect with us through ipat.gatech.edu. Thank you.
Hello, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Hi, I'm Theodora. I'm an assistant professor at the School of Cybersecurity and Privacy. I'll be joining in the beginning of September, so in a couple of weeks. My main research is on building algorithmic tools for practical machine learning security. So machine learning security, a lot of this research that has been done has focused on showing how machine learning systems fail disastrously. And of course, because this is bad, we want defenses, but the defenses have often been unsuccessful. And in fact, there's been a number of studies that show that actually these vulnerabilities are thought to be features, not bugs. So they help the natural learning process. So the challenge I tackled was in my graduate research was how to understand vulnerabilities and analyze security rigorously such that we get closer to the ideal machine learning systems that have certain desirable properties. And my approach to this has been to build a bridge between the practical machine learning security and security which we desire via an algorithmic perspective. So I proposed 3 new tools in this space. I won't have time to go into detail over them, but it's basically statistical verification or new abstraction based on causal reasoning. And the last thing I worked on was algebraic proofs. And I'm going to tell you something very neat about this one, which is the motivation for this last work. So the motivation are these class action lawsuits that have been filed against generative ML companies that are actually estimated to cost billions of dollars. There are many technical aspects to copyright in general, but I'm going to formulate one specific problem that we looked at. So let's say you have this honest machine learning company that collects data from some repository that may contain copyrighted information. And then they get sued by a content creator for using their data, right? So how can then the honest, or maybe they're dishonest actually, how can someone prove that they did or did not use a particular data set? So this is what we call as data non-repudiation. And we make the first step towards data non-repudiation via recording the training process in something that we call training logs. And by doing this, we're able to give a sound procedure that establishes under which conditions we can resolve such data non-repudiation disputes. So we call this procedures algebraic proofs. And we recently extended this result to large language models. And in fact, keeping logs of training is more general and useful. So kind of like what I want to focus on next is how can we actually build and design scalable and auditable platforms for machine learning without trust. So this involves proposing algorithms to analyze rigorously the training process and machine learning models that come out of that training process and are recorded in these logs. And the challenge here is that we're working with the natural training process, and we don't really have mathematical closed form expressions for the kind of data that we work with. So we don't really know what is going on exactly under the hood. So how can we design this still rigorously? And the other challenge, or like the other aspect of this platform, would be how do we design provable algorithms that have certain desirable properties? So that means we modify somehow the training process. And here the challenge is how do we strike a balance between being practical and useful while at the same time providing provable guarantees about something desirable such as privacy. Right. So, and the really neat part about this kind of research direction is that it's not just like theoretical or algorithmic. There's also systems involved. So how do you, from things like how do you make machine learning training reproducible, because even that due to numerical instability or due to the finite precision representation that we have under the hood, we actually may not get the same model when we train even on 2 different machines. Moreover, if we train in a distributed setting. So how do we make that reproducible, and how do we scale a replayable infrastructure with logging and going back in time, kind of like a time machine for machine learning? So if you're excited about this and interested in and working on this problems, feel free to contact me. And yeah, let's build a bridge with more algorithmic pillars to bridge the gap between practical machine learning systems and the ideal machine learning systems. Thank you.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Yunan from School of CSE. My group works on computational biology and machine learning, and we are working on 2 lines of work. So first, we are developing a novel machine learning methodology to model biological data, to integrate biological data and make prediction or new generation. For example, we propose and develop new geometric deep learning methods to better model the biomolecular data, and we develop a generative model like diffusion model to design new drug molecules. And we also develop new uncertain quantification methods or more data efficient large language model to enable the application in this field. And on the other hand, on the application side, we are interested in using AI to enable or to accelerate the discovery in biomedicine. So we are deploying our AI system to address the challenges in real-world scientific questions. And some examples are listed here. In some of our recent papers, we used AI to review the new function for natural but understudied proteins. And in a paper we just published, we developed a machine learning model to optimize the function of natural proteins such that they can achieve a better activity at a level that has not been encountered in nature before. And with this new method, we enable a new chemical reaction that did not exist in nature before, and provide better yield and activity in the chemical reaction. And we are also interested in other biomedical problems like drug discovery, how to use AI when there is an emergent disease like COVID-19, how to repurpose existing drugs or even design new drug to fight this disease. And so those are very important and very exciting in real world questions we are interested in, and we are collaborating with scientists in chemistry, in biology, and in medicine to really deploy and validate our machine learning models in the real question. And we have obtained many exciting results. Some examples are shown in this paper. And if you are interested in those projects, feel free to reach out to me by email. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Chris McClellan, and I'm an assistant professor in the School of Interactive Computing, and my research spans the areas of AI, HCI, and the cognitive and learning sciences. And the goal of my work is to better understand how people teach and learn things, and how we can build machines that are capable of teaching and learning like people do. And my lab, in pursuit of this goal, my lab is focusing on 3 broad areas that are shown in this figure here. Starting on the left side, we have a lot more user-facing work, and we're building teachable systems that people can teach and interact with like they would another person. And we try to design these systems to be natural and usable to people that maybe don't have any expertise in AI. And moving into the middle, we develop a lot of human-like AI and machine learning models. And the idea is, how do we build systems that can learn in ways like humans? And by that, I mean, they have certain capabilities that humans have, like incremental learning or learning from few examples, and that are capable of producing relatable, explainable, or understandable outputs. And these human-like AI and machine learning models actually power the teachable systems that we're building that are user-facing. And then finally, on the back end of all this, on the right, I'm really interested in trying to understand human learning and decision-making and how people teach and learn among each other. And so the idea is, can we leverage our machine learning and AI models to better understand how people are teaching and learning? And can we use what we learn from people to guide the design of human-like systems as well? So to just give an example of some of the work that we're doing in this space, I've just got 3 sort of lines of active research that are going on in my group. First, we're building new approaches for interactive task and concept learning that enable people to interactively teach agents to do and to recognize new things through natural interactions, such as demonstrations, through feedback, and more recently through natural language instruction. Moving into the middle, we've been exploring how we can design these teachable agents to be natural for people to use, but also for teams to use, so teams of people. And in one of my projects, we've been exploring the creation of agents that can play cooperative games with teams of humans to accomplish shared goals. And one of our key insights that we're trying to explore is the idea that agents that can learn interactively on the fly can make much better teammates. And then lastly, on the right, my group is doing a lot of work on AI-powered educational technologies, and our work is spanning many different domains. So for example, we've been developing new ways to provide effective math instruction to support adult learners at the Technical College System of Georgia. And we're also creating new kinds of tutors that haven't been seen before, such as tutors for game-based tasks like chess or Go Moku, which is the one that's shown in this example here. So if any of this sounds interesting, I'm always looking for new people to work with. You can learn more about my work at the lab website that's shown at the bottom. And you might also consider taking a class with me. So I'm teaching knowledge-based AI in the fall and human AI interaction in the spring. So thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Bodai, and actually, I'm a assistant professor from School of Computational Science and Engineering. This semester, I will teach CS 6243 Advanced Machine Learning topic. Welcome to join my class. And okay, let's start with what I'm doing here. Basically, what I'm doing is decision making. Actually, every day we can see decision making problem everywhere in our daily life, from the fulfillment in the traditional OR operation research to, for example, auto driver in path planning, and to the recent large language model for searching, decoding to chat with human, and then to the AlphaGo, which is play Go with human, and robotics play. Recently, Google have ping pong robotics also play with human, and eventually to the drug synthesis. All this kind of problem, there is a decision-making problem, trying to figure out what's the best action to do. So basically, what I'm doing here is actually, okay, develop practical decision-making and the planning algorithm with computational and statistic efficiency. So that's everything I would like to work on. Let's see. Recently, because the fundamental models, either in text modeling or image modeling or video modeling, demonstrate surprising performance. So my focus at this moment is more focused on how we can utilize the foundation models, including large language model, video model, image model, and so on and so forth for decision making. Especially, we can exploit the universality of foundation model to include all the tasks with single interface and train one model, apply everywhere, so that we can come back to the computational and the sample complexity issue in decision-making procedure. And eventually, we want to achieve a better agent to help people in every perspective. So here are several our recent work along this line. One is how we can utilize the foundation model to transfer the to explore the data from a simulator, and then to apply to the real robot. That's published in IRAS 2024. And the other part is how we can utilize the reinforcement learning to help large language model for planning and reasoning tasks. Especially here, we demonstrate how we can utilize a reinforcement technique to improve the planning ability for large language model in mathematical problem. And also, we utilize the foundation video model to train one model and apply that for any task in real case. So that's published in Europe 2023. So again, what I'm doing is basically utilize foundation model for decision making, and specifically subtask is including the reinforcement learning, geometry model, optimization, and sampling. And yeah, welcome. I'm looking for new student to join my team. My address is Coda E1342A, and welcome to discuss with me. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. First and foremost, I'd like to say welcome to Georgia Tech and hello. I hope you have had a good experience coming to Georgia Tech so far, and I'm really hoping you enjoy the future of your PhD. My name is Paul Pierce. I'm an assistant professor in the School of Cybersecurity and Privacy, and I'm coming to you live from my hotel room at Usenix Security 2025, where a bunch of the folks in the School of Cybersecurity and Privacy are here interacting and presenting a lot of super awesome work. I do broadly network security like things, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that. And I advise or co-advise 5 great PhD students, a number of whom you'll meet over the course of the various activities associated with orientation and the various events for new students. But some of them are also here with me at Usenich Security, and I hope you should get an opportunity to chat with most of them. So what do I do? So at my core, I'm really a security person. And if you sort of take the sort of diagram of the world of security and you add in the notion of sort of empirical measurement, trying to understand what the internet looks like, trying to understand how things actually exist in the real world, and then you dash in the sort of the world of networking, when you sort of take those 3 worlds together, you get us. And the reason that I say us is that I am actively recruiting PhD students, and I would love for you to come join my lab and come talk to me, and let's do cool stuff together. To give you a sense about some of the projects we have going on, a bunch of my students and myself are super interested at sort of the more recent emergence of IPv6, which is the more modern internet protocol, and sort of the implications that has across the security space. In fact, we just, one of my students just presented a paper here at Usenich this morning trying to understand how to effectively scan IPv6 and all of the security implications that come along with the migration to this new protocol. I have students that are super interested in sort of the intersection of large-scale internet scanning along with machine learning and methods to make that internet scanning more effective. I have students that are interested in the intersection of internet scanning and binary analysis. So what happens when you want to scan the internet for malware and how do you do so effectively? I have a longstanding interest in internet censorship and measuring internet censorship. And I have some work that's really trying to understand sort of the intersection of low-level networking properties with sort of these high-level properties of like active adversaries inside networks. And I also do work on advertising and privacy. And I'm really have some super interesting stuff that tries to understand ways in which advertising networks themselves are insecure and can lead attackers to violate privacy, in addition to what are historically the typical sort of privacy violating attacks. And I sort of want to put in a plug for my class. So I have a class, CS8803 EMS, Advanced Network Security and Measurement. I normally teach that in the fall. Unfortunately, I'm not teaching it this fall, but I will be teaching it a year from now. And this course satisfies the security and networking PhD depth requirement. And so I would strongly encourage you all to check it out. If you're interested in that, you can find links to the former version on my website. That's all I have to say. I'm recruiting. I'd love to talk to you. Please send me an email. Also consider taking my class, and I hope you enjoy your time here at Georgia Tech.
Hello, am I audible? All right. Welcome to Georgia Tech. My name is Suguman Bansal. I'm an assistant professor in the School of Computer Science, and I'm affiliated with 2 groups in School of Computer Science. One is the Foundations of AI, and the other is Programming Languages and Software Engineering. Very broadly, the research I do is about how do you build trustworthy AI systems. We all know that AI is taking over, machine learning algorithms are being used for all kinds of applications, but in order to use them for safety critical or security critical applications, we need AI solutions to be trustworthy. And the question is, how do we do that? So today I'll talk about one particular project that I'm looking at, which is on how do you build trustworthy reinforcement learning algorithms. Now, reinforcement learning is the third wheel of machine learning. There is supervised learning, there is unsupervised learning, and then there is reinforcement learning. And usually reinforcement learning finds applications in robotics, cyber-physical systems, banking, and where not. But the central question, if you really think about what the problem of reinforcement learning is, it is that you want to learn a program or a policy that accomplishes a given task. So in robotics, maybe you want to accomplish a navigation task. In banking, you want to accomplish certain goals, and so on and so forth. So the question is, can you automatically generate a policy or a program that satisfies the desired task? And this has been fairly successful. It has been used in various applications. But the question is, ultimately, you are learning from data. And do you know that the final program or policy you learn, is that going to be trustworthy? Now, there are several ways of trying to make sure that your program is correct, right? We can use, in machine learning, people use accuracy. So will you trust a program if it has 95% accuracy? What about the remaining 5%? What if that 5% is a rare event that could lead to hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars of loss? Maybe not accuracy. What about testing? Is program testing enough? Well, not again, because as Dijkstra put it very nicely, that program testing can be used to show the presence of bugs, but never show the absence of bugs. So what can you do in order to show the absence of bugs, or what can you do to make policies or programs trustworthy? And this is the field of formal methods. Formal methods is a discipline in mathematical logic where the goal is to develop theory, algorithms, or tools to provide rigorous guarantees of correctness to computational systems. And in my research, we are trying to use formal methods to get rigorous guarantees of correctness from reinforcement learning algorithms. So the kinds of things we look at are on the spectrum of both the theory and practice of formal methods in RL. On the theoretical side, we ask, well, RL models are really complex. These are large, there is noise. Can you really get rigorous guarantees out of it? What is the boundary of possibility and impossibility of guarantees? And if guarantees are possible, are these guarantees meaningful? Or are these abstract concepts which one really can't apply in the real world? And on the practical side, we look at building algorithms and tools that can give you high degrees of assurance, or improving the performance of reinforcement learning algorithms. For example, can you build generalizable RL and so on? Now, the work we do appears at conferences ranging in programming languages and formal methods, as well as machine learning and AI. And if you're interested in working on these kinds of topics, then I would recommend that there are 2 courses being offered this semester. Unfortunately, I am on a break this semester, but I am taking students from next semester. And on the formal methods end, there is a fantastic course being offered on SAT and SMT solvers. And on the RL end, a course on deep reinforcement learning. If you're interested, I would recommend that you try out these courses, and let's talk next semester. Thank you.
Hello, welcome to Georgia Tech. My name is Kai Wen. I am an assistant professor from the School of Computational Science and Engineering. And the research topic that I am mainly focusing on is using AI to create social impact. So far we have learned from our undergrad and also grad school about machine learning, optimization, reinforcement learning, everything about the technical parts, but we rarely touch base on the application side, including health application, health security, mental health, and also maternal and child health, and including the environmental and conservation challenges. So my research mainly focused on how can we use the technique that we learned from undergrad and also grad school to apply to this kind of applications to create actual social impact. So in order to actually use AI in this kind of societal context, there are 2 things that we need to do. The first thing is maybe we need to understand the societal challenges first. So the first thing we need to do is to model and also diagnose the societal challenges that we are facing, including using data set, using existing training set to train a machine learning model to quantify or characterize the challenges that we are facing. And after we are able to model the societal challenges, the next thing that we need to do is to understand how to step in, how to provide actionable or useful intervention to support and help with this kind of societal changes. Some techniques that we will be using includes optimizations and also multi-agent system to understand the interactions between multiple agents in the society as well. So I can give you some examples here. So one example we had done in the past is to work with international nonprofits on how to learn maternal health from their previous data set, previous interaction with the health information. We are also interested in how to provide action, so including how to use a machine learning model to decide how to make sequential decisions. And also similarly, we are also interested in actually making a real world impact, actually deploy our algorithm to the field with the nonprofits. And lastly, recently, I also got interested in the algorithm side, how to speed up the algorithm that we had used in the past by the idea of differentiable optimization and bi-level optimization as well. So as you can see here, you will be learning a lot about theory, about algorithm and optimization, because we not only want things to be deployed, but also want some guarantees. On the other hand, we also will be work with a real world data set and also real world partners and hopefully deploy and eventually hopefully do a few study about the research as well. So if you are interested in, please feel free to reach out to me. Here is my email. And yeah, and also you are welcome to check out my our website as well. Thank you.
Okay, so right now I'm going to share one slide from Alan and one slide from Wei. So there's no talking in this one. Bear with me a second. So I'm just going to like click through the slide.
There's nothing on the screen.
Okay, yeah, so I'm not sharing this. Hold on a second. Hold on. Okay. Can you see the screen now?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Okay, good, thanks. And this one is for Wei. Thank you.
I think that brings it to me. Is that correct, Bruce Walker?
Yes.
All right, cool. All right, welcome to Georgia Tech and welcome back to those who are returning. I'm Professor Bruce Walker. I'm a professor in both psychology and interactive computing. My lab is called the Sonification Lab. We do a lot of multimodal user interfaces, a lot of VR, AR, XR, and we use a lot of AI. Generally, we work in complex human-computer interaction, human-robot interaction. We use high workload contexts, trading, astronauts, Navy SEALs, underwater in the dark, fun stuff. Use a lot of machine language and AI. We do work in driving, cockpit research. We're studying the transition to flying cars as a interesting research platform. Human automation interaction. We have both the technical side of things, the computing, the AI, but also the psychology aspects like attention and distraction. A lot of our work involves assistive technology and helping people with disabilities, whether it's for education, whether it's for wayfinding. We're collaborating with other folks here in computing for a robotic guide dog platform, where we have a large new center starting on accessible and inclusive climate communication, so accessible weather information. Fun big projects, multi-year. I help run a lab called VRlandia, which is basically a VR makerspace housed over here in psychology. for wayfinding research, VR, creativity, lots of interesting things, but it's a space, it's a collection of equipment and a collection of people who are interested in VR. Particularly of note for master students, I run every semester, I run a research and design R&D studio class. It's called CS 8803 SRD for Sonification Lab R&D. Teams of about 2 students work on projects that are assigned to you based on your interests and your skills. These are projects that are part of my lab or part of a startup company or part of a large company outside of Georgia Tech, lots of different real world kinds of projects. Have a look, there's the QR code to the website. You can look at the website. We have limited enrollment. I can only fit about 30 students in the class, so it's on a sort of first come, first serve basis. Let me know if you're interested by sending me an email with your resume. Have a look at the webpage first because it does describe how the class works. If you have any questions, then feel free to reach out to me. My lab is here at Sonified at site.godtech.edu. You can check it out and let me know if there's a way that you'd like to contribute to what we're doing. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. As always, just welcome to Tech, and you belong here. I'm Rosa Arriaga. I'm an associate professor in interactive computing, and I build systems that are useful and usable. We'll redefine that based on the care context that we're working in. So my goal is really to understand the gold standard of care for a given clinical domain. So in other words, I'm not going to be building a new app for mental health or a new way to treat some disease because, you know, my day job is hectic enough. But what I will do is I will work with the gold standard of care and build these systems that I call ecological computing systems. And the goal is to improve end user outcomes and health. So at the end of the day, I want to know, are people getting better because of the technology we develop? I'm going to give you examples from diabetes and PTSD. So what's the gold standard of care in diabetic foot disease? Well, it turns out that if your grandmother or somebody you know and love has diabetes, you should really be afraid of something called diabetic foot ulcers. These are terrible complications from diabetes. And again, if your loved one went to the doctor, they would get this gold standard of care called the comprehensive foot exam, where they check the skin on your grandmother's foot. They check whether some basic aspect of circulation. They would check if she has sensation on her foot, and they might assess her gait as she's walking into the clinic. We take all of this gold standard of care protocol and we build an app with it. Now, again, it's not enough that I build an app for your grandmother because, right, can she take a picture of her own foot? Unlikely. So what we do is we build this technology so that we're not only able to help the patient with DFU, but leverage the family, leverage community, understand what are the implications for people with diabetes, but also build responsible computing systems. As you know, right, it's in the news a lot. There's bias in these systems. The computer vision algorithms that have been built have really been working with light-skinned individuals. Well, what about dark-skinned individuals? What happens there? So we have funding from the American Diabetes to answer this question. We have the largest repository of dark-skinned feet, and we really are finding that the algorithms that are out there don't work for this data set. Another example I'll give you is from PTSD. Once again, people come in and say, I have this great idea for an app for depression. I don't think so. I want to know what's the gold standard. What do the top doctors look at? It turns out that in PTSD, this is called prolonged exposure therapy. Patients do homework. They have to do this for 30 minutes with no distraction. There's this idea that there's initially going to be stressful events. So we look at the sensing infrastructure of the phone. We get people to use the app when they're doing their homework. And then we're able to give feedback, or rather the clinicians, about the quality of the homework they did. Once again, we care about the ecology of the system because veterans, for example, are very different from other people that might have PTSD, and it's critical that we understand this. So does this sound interesting to you? I hope so. If you're interested in learning more, then please check out my Google Scholar page. You can contact me for fall positions. These are only for credit, and we're especially looking for people that have mobile app development skills. Thank you very much, and I hope to meet you at some point.
Right. Hi all. I'm Vasilis Zikas. I just joined the School of Cybersecurity and Privacy as an associate professor. I came there from Purdue, where I established and led the Purdue Blockchain Lab. And before that, I was leading the Blockchain Technology Lab at the University of Edinburgh. Both were affiliated with blockchain-related companies, which I'm going to mention. Just to give you a snapshot of my research, the central theme is secure decentralization. That includes a couple of disciplines in computer science and security, primarily cryptography. You probably heard already from my colleagues about multi-party computation and threshold cryptography, classical fault-tolerant distributed computing, build an agreement, consensus broadcast, and so on. Economics and computation, rational analysis of decentralization protocols, and of course, security. Distributed systems, networks, secure database, and so on. And my research is actually in all these intersections. This is an interdisciplinary area. I have results in the conference in all these areas. The interesting thing that happened recently is that there was a problem that showed up, recently, like last decade actually, in the intersection of all those areas and kind of became synonymous with decentralization, and that's blockchain and centralized ledgers. So a lot of my work has been on blockchain centralized ledgers, decentralized payments, authentication mechanisms, sharing, joint stated computing, and then with a connection to game theory, how we can do fair contract signing, and so on and so forth. So some of my work was, I was the first to give a composable analysis of Bitcoin, which applies to all Nakamoto blockchain style constructions. Then I've been doing a lot of work on incentives and economic robustness of these protocols, how good they behave against rational attackers, ways we can use these protocols to improve decentralized systems. And through my affiliation as a now lead scientist of Sunday Group and prior an area lead of input-output, this is, you don't know, the company behind Cardano, one of the top 10 cryptocurrencies. How can we improve the systems? How can we get them to achieve, to be more scalable, to achieve privacy, and so on and so forth, and several applications to DeFi. Just to give you some instances, I developed a framework for analyzing the economic robustness of proof-of-work blockchains, and then use it to analyze 51% attacks on blockchains, which actually predicted what was happening with Ethereum Classic, and we showed how to patch it so that it doesn't happen again. Then DeFi applications, a front-running resistant crypto exchange, which is better than anything that exists so far, including Uniswap. Motivated by questions that came to me from industry, we developed this system called Ethereum, Etherless Ethereum tokens. This is how can you launch something as a token of Ethereum where the users get the full user experience without having to have Ether on their wallet. The rational analysis of blockchain that I just mentioned actually went back. Other than that, I've been doing work both on the theory and practice with PC. This in particular is a way to combine MPC backends to get optimal performance. And then there was a recent follow-up at CCS of how to vectorize the solutions. I've been doing work on security and ML. How can you do MPC on distributed data to apply ML on it, and then how you can estimate the privacy of your favorite AI. You have an AI that is randomized, your gut feeling says that it's private, you cannot prove that it's private. We have actually a black box way of estimating. So this is a very quick overview of things I've been doing and things I'm interested in. In the spring, I'll be teaching an intro to cryptography. And then in the fall, I plan to teach decentralized cryptography that will cover how we connect ideas from classical distributed computing fault tolerance to modern blockchain and beyond. Right. So this is all. As I said, I just joined. My group has 1 student and 4 postdocs currently, so they're all eager in working with you. If you're interested in these topics, please reach out. That's my email. This is my webpage, except it's still being updated, so it's going to be updated soon. And thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Ashutosh Dekne. Welcome to Georgia Tech. So what do we do? Well, we explore problems in wireless sensing, wireless localization, wireless networking, mobile computing, and Internet of Things. There's quite a bit of various entities we work with. But in exploring any of these problems, we always tend to build working prototypes. So this is a lab where we develop software, but we also develop some hardware to actually run that software and explore things in the real world. Here are a few glimpses of our work. We talk about indoor localization at scale. We work on fine-grained localization, and I will talk about what that means. Interpreting visual body signals using wearable sensors and reflection through digital art. So here is an example of something we do on a very regular basis, which is indoor localization. We develop prototypes and we allow a person to actually locate themselves in indoor spaces. Similarly, we have explored how you could digitize the movements of a pen by knowing the location of the pen on the whiteboard without using any cameras. All of this is done using wireless signals and wireless technology. We have improved upon the 2-dimensional whiteboard writing application into 3 dimensions, allowing robotic movements or the movements of a hand in a VR/AR setting to be tracked using wireless sensors without using any cameras. Similarly, we use distance measurement as an important metric to understand gestures, human movements. By placing sensors on the body, we are able to measure distances between different sensors to give an overview of what gestures a particular person is performing. Similarly, we use wireless signals, and these wireless signals, as they go out into the environment, will also reflect back from a few things, such as metal doors or human beings. And as people move in front of a wireless system, the reflections change, and we convert those reflections into art. Think about your next NFT, for example. Right? So this was demonstrated in the Georgia Tech library for some time. Right? So if you are excited about any of this stuff or all of this stuff, definitely join my class, CS8803 MCI. We talk about wireless localization, networking, sensing. I teach computer networking in the spring semester, but in the upcoming fall semester, I'll be teaching mobile computing and IoT class. If you're interested, definitely get in touch with me. This is my email address, dekne@gatech.edu, and my website is there below. Thanks.
Hello, everybody. My name is Sasha Boltereva, and I'm a professor in the School of Cybersecurity and Privacy. And you can see my email and webpage and the office info on the slide. I work in the area of cryptography, and in particular, practice-oriented provable security, meaning I design new protocols and also analyze existing protocols. But I'm interested in work which has direct practical applications. But it's still a theory what I'm doing because while designing and analyzing, we work a lot on figuring out what security means formally, what is the definition of security, how to prove security of the protocols formally. And there are some examples I want to give you of the recent and current projects I'm working on or finished recently. So one area which I've been working for a while is searchable encryption for cloud storage, how to outsource your data securely so that it's still searchable and you can meaningfully query it and retrieve it, but not reveal information about the data. The other examples, I worked and still working on the analysis of FIDO2 protocol, which is a current standard, an initiative for passwordless authentication on the web. I also performed formal analysis of IEEE standardized key certification protocol for vehicle communication. Currently, I and my student working on biometric-based crypto applications, which can prevent against brute force attacks, even though when your biometrics doesn't have high entropy. And this is very important because we cannot easily change biometrics if they get compromised. And also working with other students on encryption for images which undergo compression. Because for standard encryption, if ciphertext get compressed, then you cannot decrypt. So how to do about this? So if you're interested, I am teaching this semester the graduate applied cryptography course. And also, if you're a PhD student taking CS 7001, you are welcome you to do a mini project with me. If you're interested in crypto, or if you're expert in some other areas, but which touch on or need some cryptography. For example, the project I mentioned on image encryption, it started with a mini project, a student who did some signal processing and the undergrad was interested in. So, and welcome. Thank you. Somehow. Stop sharing.
All right. Cool. So hi everyone. My name is Glenn Chow. I'm starting as an assistant professor this November, where I'll be jointly affiliated with SCP and with the School of Aerospace Engineering. So my lab is going to work on algorithms that can enable autonomous robots like ground vehicles, drones, and manipulators to operate with guarantees of reliability, safety, and security in the real world. And indeed, it's an exciting time to be working on robotics. We're finally seeing robots out in the real world, from self-driving cars to commercial drones. But despite these achievements, today's robots remain unreliable. Just a single point of failure, like failing to detect an obstacle, can lead to fatal safety violations. Our robots also remain very exposed to security threats, which can compromise safety, performance, and user privacy. So it's deeply concerning that despite the growing presence of robots in our daily lives, we still lack the algorithmic tools to actually ensure that they're going to work as intended. So to tackle this problem of making our robots more reliable, I've explored in the past how we can potentially use optimization theory to learn hard safety constraints from human data to actually teach our robots quantifiably what it means to be safe, as well as how we can use those safety constraints together with formal methods to better stress test our robots and efficiently expose bugs in their control laws, as well as how we can avoid such failures altogether through the design of safe by construction end-to-end controllers from raw sensor data that use machine learning and computer vision in the loop. So moving forward, my lab is going to build upon these results while expanding in new directions. The lab, which will span from theory to algorithm design and implementation, will really focus on 3 main areas. The first is in developing computational tools for designing scalable and resilient controllers for robotics. So this includes tools for instance, adaptive hybrid perception-based control, as well as fault-tolerant control that will provide hard guarantees. We'll also focus on scaling these control tools up in a trustworthy fashion using machine learning. So this means designing tools for representation learning or out-of-distribution detection and so on, and figuring out how we can actually rigorously integrate these tools into the robot control loop. And finally, we'll also unify these tools with human data to enable resilient human-robot interaction. And in particular, we'll explore themes in data privacy for imitation learning, explainable and interactive control synthesis, and more. So starting this fall, I'm going to be looking for master's and PhD students to be helping me to explore these projects. And if you're interested in getting involved in the lab, please reach out by email. I also plan to teach a grad level course on safe and secure robot learning and control sometime in the next year. So keep an eye out for that if you're interested. And you can find more project details on my website and stay tuned for lab updates in the coming weeks. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm very much looking forward to meeting you all.
Hello, everyone. My name is Cecilia Testard. I'm an assistant professor in the School of Cybersecurity and Privacy and the School of Computer Science. My research areas is at the intersection of internet security, measurement, and policy. And I really care about the internet that is so heavily interwoven with our society and our daily lives, gets to be a platform and an infrastructure that benefits society and will limit the harms that it can bring to our society. This academic year, I'm going to be teaching a special problem class that is called Securing the Internet Infrastructure. And in the spring, I'll be teaching the Computers Network class. So as I mentioned, what I really care about is like, how does this internet that connects us all and where there are billions of devices that are connected, really we use it for the benefits of our society, and we limit whatever attacks and harms can happen through this infrastructure. And to give you some examples, here I posted some of the news of really attacks that really are very, very hard to prevent. And you can see in these examples that they mention very big companies that have a lot of resources and that attract one of the best brains around the world. And still, these companies, because of how the protocols of the internet work, are not able to protect against these attacks. And they have impact at different levels in society, whether somebody got stolen money from online banking or cryptocurrencies, or you could not reach a website, or you could not, and those websites could be something that you're interested in, could be news, but it could also be a government website that you cannot get relevant information, you cannot register to vote. So it can really have an impact on how our society works and the intrinsic societal functions that we use every day. So to tackle these problems, what I'm interested in is in looking at the core protocols of the internet and understanding how those protocols and how they have been implemented and are used by the different protocols. So how the messages are sent and then decisions are made, how the packets in the internet travel, how that impacts the security and resiliency of the internet infrastructure. And my view is that this doesn't only depend on really the definition of how those protocols are, but also a lot on the implementation and practices that different networks use for those protocols. So, and these implementations and practices can be looked at a very holistic perspective, from the organizational perspective, and also they are influenced by things like economic and business models of those networks, and also by the regulatory regime where those networks are present. And indeed, now, for instance, in the US, we're seeing much more oversight from different parts of the federal government into how the different organizations are using protocols and over the internet. So using all those different interests and analyzing through those different lenses, my research combines internet measurements and uses a lot of data science and applies statistics and machine learning to infer new insights on the behaviors of the different actors that involve in getting the internet to work as it currently works. And through those insights, recognize behaviors that are harmful towards the final users and behaviors that should be encouraged. And through those insights, we can influence the future protocol design, but also influence the practices of the different networks. And actually, I'm pretty involved in reaching out to networks through different industry groups, such as NANOC in the area of North America, and through other types of conferences, and even presenting in policy conference to try to have more impact with the research and influence the other aspects of the internet. So if you're interested in trying to make this internet work for us as a society in the long term, you can start by taking the Secure Internet Infrastructure class. In that class, we're going to have fun looking at some events, some real events that happen in the internet, and trying to connect it to the different pieces of the internet and the protocols and the behavior of the actors that led to those incidents happening, and trying to understand the consequences of that. And also, you can just reach out to me. I'm interested if you want to do some project in 7001 or even some other research credit that you might be looking for. Welcome to Georgia Tech.
All right, good afternoon. Welcome to Georgia Tech from me as well. My name is Thomas Plötz. I am a faculty in the School of Interactive Computing in the College of Computing, where I run the Computational Behavior Analysis Lab. What we do in my lab is we play with variables and artificial intelligence to assess what people are doing, primarily for effective health assessments. I teach at Georgia Tech. This coming fall, I teach the grad level introduction into AI, that's 601, and in spring, I'll teach the co-listed between undergrads and grad level class of mobile and ubiquitous computing. So human activity recognition is what we do. Human activity recognition is not spying on people. It's actually a benign opportunity, a window into how well a person is actually doing, a person's health and their well-being. Here's a complicated definition of activity recognition that aims to recognize the actions and goals of one or more agents from a series of observations, and so on. Boiling it down to a punchline, we're interested in what is happening, when is something of interest happening, how well are our agents, our humans that we are working with are doing these activities, how well are they engaging those activities, are there any changes? We focus on activities based on human movements. For that, we use sensors. Here's an overview of the sensors we use. It's basically wearables. So all the gadgets that are out there, listed a few of here, remarkably earable. So that's basically wearable motion trackers, movement sensors that you put in your ears. We have a lot of activities going on, projects going on in the Aware Home. That's Georgia Tech's very own a smart home environment on 10th Street. So we basically get a zoo of sensors that all provide time series to some extent and end up with a multivariate stream of sensor data, of time series data that we analyze then with various flavors of artificial intelligence or machine learning techniques for a range of applications in here. Here's a small problem. Unlike other areas of machine learning like NLP or computer vision, we are not swimming in large amounts of annotated, labeled training data. We call this the small data problem, small annotated data problem in activity recognition. And it results from the fact that it is straightforward to deploy sensors. Everybody has a phone is recording data, but it's not so straightforward to actually annotate and label this data that we typically need in a supervised machine learning scenario to come up with models that actually then analyze during deployment what the person is doing. My lab has been leading in our field, what we call mobile and ubiquitous computing, to tackle this small annotated data problem. And there's specifically two different directions or categories of techniques that we develop. One is self-supervised learning that has shot to fame in the last 5 years in many areas. There's a few specific challenges in our field that we have tackled quite successfully in there. The other one is cross-modality transfer, where we basically make use of data that are out there that just happen to be not recorded with our wearable sensors. Take video data, for example. If you type into your favorite video platform, such as YouTube, an activity of interest, let's say cycling, the platform will spit out a ranked list, relevance ranked list of videos that hopefully capture those activities. And what we do is we use these videos and feed them through a relatively complicated computer vision pipeline to generate virtual sensor data we can then use to train our machine learning systems. We push this even further. We don't even need videos anymore. We now use large language models, as pretty much everyone does, and basically generate automatically descriptions of these activities we're interested in. Here's one on jumping. A man jumps over a small gap in the road, safely landing. That is an activity description generated by a large language model and then translated through a relatively large model into motion capture data, virtual motion capture data, that we can then use again to transfer this into virtual IMU data. So we're working a lot in this area to make activity recognition work when only we have small amounts of label data. Here's another idea of checking this problem. We generate virtual training data through simulation. That's what I want to briefly float here as an idea. There was a great paper out there last year where some folks developed generative agents, basically LLMs, that fed into one of those strategy kind of computer games. And those agents, these interactive agents, they were all directed and controlled by large language models that all interacted with each other. So think of a strategy game where you don't have human players, but LLM controlled agents, and let it run for a while. And rather astonishing emergent behaviors had been observed there, which is very promising. So that's basically the idea. Large language models control an agent, and then they interact with each other. What we want to do is we want to basically use this idea and combine this with this cross-modality transfer that I just explained in the previous slide, and basically have LLM-powered agents simulate the activities that we're actually interested in to generate those virtual IMU data that we are so desperate for. So generate training data through simulation. Here's the idea. Combine those two. And the ultimate goal is, again, activity recognition. So that's the idea. If you're interested in that, to explore this a bit more, I have a great team of PhD and master students already working in similar areas. There's always room for more and for new talent. Come work with us. We are in Coda on the 15th floor in the health environment. My name again is Thomas Plötz from Interactive Computing. Lab site is cba.gartech.edu. Thank you and welcome to Tech.
Hey everyone, welcome to Georgia Tech also. I'm John Stasko. I'm a professor in interactive computing, and I work in data visualization, more specifically in information visualization and visual analytics. And we're really figuring out ways to help people make decisions and use data to their benefit through visual representations of it. I'm kind of the lead off of a number of Viz faculty you're going to hear from. Just think of me as the old guy in the group. And you'll, as I mentioned, you'll be hearing from them after me. We are primarily located on the 3rd floor of the TSRB building in kind of the northwest corner. We have a very nice lab, and our faculty offices and student offices are all situated around there. We have some really good web pages for our group at viz.godtech.edu, and you can browse those to find out more. And this fall, our weekly group meeting, all hands, all faculty, all our students will be meeting Wednesdays, 11 to noon in our lab, which is in TSRB 334. In my research, as I said, I build visualizations of things. We come up with new techniques. We find people who have data in interesting domains and problem areas and try to come up with solutions, or we test out different techniques to try to figure out why one works better than another. And you see a bunch of pictures here from many of my past projects. This fall, I'll be teaching our Intro Viz course, CS 6730. It's Tuesday, Thursday afternoons. And it's designed to be open to anybody. You don't have to have a background at Viz or HCI. You can come from different areas. So we look forward to having everyone in there. And I want to talk to you a little bit about wait lists and courses and what they're like. This course is going to be offered in the spring as well. Right before this, I took a look and I see that the class is close to full. If you want to get in my class, or if you want to get in any class, let me give you some advice. If it's already full, get on the wait list. You have to be on the wait list. We have a lot of churn the first week in our courses. Our existing students sign up for way too many courses, and then they drop them last minute. So if you want to get in, get on a course wait list and come to it during the first week. Talk to the professors. Almost every case, you'll be able to get into a class when you want to. So just be persistent on that, and you can get in there. If you want to learn a little bit more about my particular work, my information interfaces group, here's our website. We have links to our projects, my students, things going on, or you can send me an email at the bottom there. Thanks, and welcome to Tech again.
All right. Oh, hold on. I think I pushed the right button. There we go. Okay, so my turn. So thanks, John, for the introduction to sort of what is data viz and visual analytics, and specifically my lab here as part of that does we build tools to help people make sense of data using interactive visual interfaces. The longer version of that is at our lab website down here at va.godtech.edu. But let me give you just a few little snapshots into the kinds of things that we've done. So we often collaborate with industry partners on helping them solve sort of very specific problems about understanding parts of their enterprise or understanding parts of how data helps them make decisions. So for example, this could go to some partners like Adobe Research and helping them figure out where the most valuable parts of a data lake are for specific types of dashboards that they make. Or it could be helping the Ford Motor Company build safer cars and testing cars in a visualization environment so that they don't have to crash a bunch of them to figure out if they're safe or not. We sometimes also build tools and toolkits for specific developers of visualization. So this can go into helping them build guidance aspects into their visual interfaces to infuse AI into a number of different tasks that they may have. And sometimes it has to do with visualizing how or what an AI actually makes sense of in order to ensure that before we deploy, say, an LLM for various types of applications, we can ensure that it actually does what we want it to do, and it does so in a responsible and ethical way. In terms of teaching, this fall, I get to teach what I've now called a rare upper level graduate course. It's been several years. But it is called Human-Centered Data Analysis. We're going to talk about tools, techniques, and very up-to-date research on how we use computation and people to make sense of data and get insights. So this spans from everything from how do we use notebooks and LLMs and other kinds of things to studying aspects like cognitive bias and what people can bring to the table and things like that. Yeah, in the spring, I'll teach an undergrad info viz class. We're probably not as relevant to you all here, but we're always looking for TAs. So keep an eye out for the TA form email that comes out sometime in the middle of the semester or so. That's it. Thanks.
All right, I think I'm next. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Cool. So I'm Cindy. I'm also one of the visualization faculty members here at GT. And my lab operates at the intersection of data visualization and human cognition and perception. And we care a lot about design choices that people make when they create visualizations, because good design choices can have powerful and intuitive insights. And when you do it poorly, the visualization can leave important patterns obscured or misunderstood. And I always come to this example from the Georgia Department of Public Health, where they wanted to visualize COVID trends in different counties in Georgia. But if you were to look at the visualization that they crafted, intuitively, you'll think that the number of COVID cases is decreasing, right? But that's actually misleading, because if you were to take a closer look, you'll realize that the x-axis is not ordered by time. So what the Department of Public Health was intending to do with this visualization was to show you on which day there was a highest number of cases and on which day there were the lowest number of cases. But this visualization depicts this downward trend through this ranking, and people misread it instead. So I could alternatively design this visualization to look something like this, where I group the county and show the time order on the x-axis instead, right? So now it's much easier to see that there's more of a bimodal distribution in number of COVID cases, not a strictly downwarding trend. But in this representation of the data, if I were to ask you to tell me across these 5 counties on which day there were the most versus least number of cases, that would be very difficult, right? Because you have to add each of these individual bars and compute the sum, and that wouldn't be easy to do. So what happens in visualizations is that we identify the problems post hoc very easily. But during the creation process of visualizations, it's complicated. You start from data and you reach some kind of data scientist who has to visualize it for you. And then it reaches the information consumer who has to interpret it, right? But that interpretation is not just one interpretation. You can think about these interpretations as being influenced by how you want to design the visualization. So designing a visualization involves a lot of choices, whether you want to group your data by county or by time, and each of those design choices can have a different consequence. They can lead to different interpretations. So my group, we're hoping to create this mapping between design choices and human interpretations. And there's a lot of knobs that you can turn. So a lot of design decisions that we can identify and map out the downstream consequences and interpretations. To give you another example before I wrap up, so here is some data, like say in reality, you have groups of people who have different amount of income. And if you were to visualize this data using just a bar chart, what's gonna happen is that a person looking at this data will think that everyone who's purple will make more money than everyone who's green. And they'll start to form stereotypes because this is not the correct interpretation of the data, right? The bar is just showing you averages. And for a value to become average, there's going to be values above it and below it within that group. So instead, if you were to visualize the same data using this jitter plot where you show the variances within a group, then people become much less likely to make that stereotypical mistake of thinking, oh, everyone who's purple is better and makes more money than everyone who's green. So small design decisions like this could have profound impact downstream. And my whole group here, we're hoping to help people make better decisions with visualizations. And as John and Alex has already pointed out, we have a nice website. There's a really amazing group of visualization researchers here at GT. So please do check out our website. And welcome to Georgia Tech.
Along, you're muted.
Yeah, I just noticed that. Thank you. Yeah, so my name is Xiaolong Yao. I'm an assistant professor at School of Interactive Computing. And I'm another person who do data visualization research at Georgia Tech. And as we can see, many visualization exist. And a long-standing problem in visualization research is how we can design and build novel and effective data visualizations. And in recent years, I extend my research not only focus on just data visualization, but also other data-related tools. So to this end, I basically see a tremendous opportunities in leveraging the next generation display and interaction technologies that is basically virtual and augmented reality for doing data-intense work. So based on my previous research experience, I have identified 3 key and unique benefits of using VR AR for data-related work. We can visualize data that is originally 3D in its original format. We can use embodied interaction to interact with data with physical motion and activities. And we obviously have a very large display space in VR AR. So by leveraging these interactions, for example, here is an interactive visualization I built to allow user to switch between 2D and 3D visualization in virtual reality. So basically, we're looking at data population density in United States, and we can see the visualization from a colored prism map to a 3D prism map, and finally to a bar chart. So with those benefits of VR AR, I believe VR AR will be an important component for the future workspace. We can renew our human data interaction experience in VR AR and push our productivity and engagement to the next level. So here are the 3 primary research directions I'm actively working on this moment to build basically a metaverse for productivity. So here are a few recent projects in those directions. For example, we brought a computational notebook like Jupyter into VR AR space and try to leverage this kind of spatial computing for people to understand data science work better. We also build platforms that allow people to collaborate across reality, so between non-immersive and immersive environments. We also build a platform that we can assemble visualization, multiple single visualization into one, so that is basically like you playing with Lego. And finally, we're also looking at how we can use physical activities to interact with data to process our data into our desired format. So in addition to those fundamental HCI research, I also want to investigate the use of VR AR in various applications. So finally, welcome to Georgia Tech, and feel free to reach out if you are interested in VR AR stuff and have crazy ideas. Thank you.
Great. Yes, everyone should be able to hear me. And my name is Polo. I'm a faculty member in the School of Computational Science and Engineering. Also, I'm part of the visualization group as well. So I teach the class Data and Visual Analytics, CSE 6242. And so at the core, we work at the intersection of AI and human intelligence. It's actually XCI, but we need to do some rebranding. So my group is called Polo Code Data Science, and the happy faces here, you see our students and recent alum. Our specialty is on how to develop scalable, interactive, and interpretable tools to help people make sense of large amount of data and complex models. Some of the major research thrusts that we are working on these days include creating tools that help people learn about AI, explain these complex models. Example includes like diffusion explainer to explain how text-to-image models work, and also our most recent transformer explainer that's going viral right now on the social media about explaining this transformer model that's used in large language models and other foundational models. Another major research thrust is how to help you interpret all these complex data that's used in generative AI. For example, with map that we developed with Apple, looking at these million scale embedding text and image embedding and all on device. So then you don't need to use any powerful servers. You can do all of these on your own devices or laptops. And then finally, we also have been working on how to guide some of these models, because if you ever use these text-to-image model, for example, you can write text prompt, but they still do not give you what you want. For example, like you want to generate some dogs and you move the dog to a particular location, well, sometimes the dog is not really where you want. So how do you combine direct manipulation techniques and then the text instruction to precisely produce what you want? Very closely related is that all of these models are not really working well, including like text
model, large language model. So we also work on, we call it protection or defense or safety. So how to use simple approaches to help correct these errors and then guide the model to do the right thing. So those are the things that we are working on these days. So welcome to Georgia Tech, and hope to interact with a lot of you through classes and other activities. Thanks.
Matthew is supposed to follow Polo, but he is not here. Should I get going? I'm after Matthew.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Why don't I do that? So let me see. Good. Can you see my slides, Iris?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. So let me get started. My name is Kishore Ramachandran, and I'm part of the systems group, which includes a bunch of other faculty. You know, just listening to all these young faculty talking about the respective research, I almost feel like I want to become a PhD student all over again. So in other words, in welcoming all of you to Georgia Tech, I want to say that you guys should feel like you're like a kid in a candy store. The number of opportunities you have across the board in the different schools within the College of Computing. So I'm going to give a little bit of what I do as part of the systems group in the College of Computing and in the School of Computer Science. And these are the current set of students that I have. Alan was the, oops, sorry, let's see. Okay, there you go. Alan was the most recent one to graduate from my lab, and Manaswini just presented her dissertation last week, and she's all slated to graduate in the next couple of weeks. And these are the other students that are currently in my lab right now, and there's a whole bunch of students who recently escaped from my lab, all doing very good stuff, and a number of PhD students and undergraduates and master students who work in the lab also. So what do I do? Well, my lab is called Embedded Pervasive Lab. Two legs to the lab. One is the pervasive side, the other is the embedded side. And on the pervasive side, we're looking at embedded devices as black boxes, and what we're doing is system support for what sometimes is called situation awareness applications, IoT and things like that. So different names by they go by, but that's the idea behind this leg of the lab. And if you think about the current generation of applications, they tend to be cloud centric, and they are human in the loop, and they enable a large number of things that we do on a daily basis, like airline reservations to watching Netflix movies and so on and so forth, and social networking. But if you look at the next generation of applications, they're going to be data driven, where latency is very important, and bandwidth is an important consideration as well. And so every device can put out upwards of 50 megabits per second. Some of the gadgets that Yolong was talking about, and there are lots of compelling applications like autonomous vehicles and augmented virtual reality that are going to be the next generation of internet applications. They're data-driven, model-driven, machine in the loop, and far more demanding, because everything is happening at human machine perception speed as opposed to human perception speed. So there is this sort of a loop that exists between sensing, processing, and actuation, which requires dynamic scalability, low latency communication, and efficient in-network processing. And that's where fog computing comes in, because cloud computing, which has been the workhorse for us all these years, is good for throughput-oriented applications, but not for this application applications, situation awareness applications, where there is a tight bound between sensing and actuations. And that's where edge computing comes in, where we want to say that there's compute available all the way from your device to the routers, to the core of the network, up to the cloud. There's a continuum, hierarchical and geo-distributed, and you want to exploit all the resources that you can in the best possible manner. And so today, if you ask what's happening in edge computing, edge is still a slave of the cloud so far as the technology giants are concerned, but any mobile application today is beholden to the cloud. Even if you want to send a text message to the guy that is sitting next to you, has to go to the cloud and come back, right? And so vision for the future, that's the mantra in my lab, is how can we make the edge a peer of the cloud? And so in the limit, we want to make the edge autonomous, even if you're disconnected from the cloud. And that's what we are working on. Oops, sorry, going the other way. And so lots of good examples that you can come up with for why edge computing is important. For example, if you have autonomous vehicles and this guy may not be able to see something that is happening a little bit away, but that can be communicated through the edge to the peer vehicle so that control decisions can be taken in the right manner. And in the limit, you can have a disaster recovery where people are stranded and you have no way of getting to them through the cloud because the cloud is not available, but you can use edge computing through drones and so on in order to get the good news about people that are missing. So there's lots of challenges in making this edge a peer of the cloud. We need powerful programming models, storage abstractions, PubSub systems, and so on. And those are the things that my group has been working on. Lots of interesting publications that you can see. If you want a good vision paper, you can take a look at this that appeared recently on how we can make this edge cloud continuum work for emerging applications. So that's the pervasive side of the house. And on the embedded side of the house, we are looking internally to the embedded devices and asking what can we do to make them better. Two strands of research here. One is on mobile devices, and the other is on optimizing mobile video downloads. And I'm going to skip this particular slide. I'm going to just talk about the two things that recently happened in my group. One is Foresight, the other is Clairvoyant Edge. And in Foresight, we are saying, hey, spatio-temporally bandwidth changes. How can you sort of plan ahead and make sure that the video quality that you're getting in your mobile device is consistent in your travel? And so there are two ways you can take care of that. One is through this solution that we call Foresight. Another one is by using new technologies like short-range wave antennas perched on edge nodes to give high bandwidth video delivery to passing vehicles. So those are the things that are happening in my group. Recapping, in embedded side, infinite storage for mobile device, optimizing for mobile video downloads, and on the pervasive side, lots of things happening. And but end of the day, what you want to remember is my face, my name, and there are lots of ongoing projects that you can come talk to me about. And there's publication page here. But what does Kishore really do in his copious spare time when he's not teaching? Well, if you're interested in squash, come see me. If you're interested in table tennis, come see me. Santosh, who's going to talk next after me, is also an avid table tennis player. So what should you take away from me? Kishore rhymes with seashore, easy to remember the name. Squash, table tennis, EPL, fog, edge computing, infinite storage, and mobile and edge caching. So last but not the least, so there was somebody that talked about COVID. COVID is not gone yet. and so if you want to be hygienic about it, take the Indian approach of saying namaste when you want to greet somebody. Don't shake hands anymore, not even fist bump. That's what I want to leave you with, and I'll hand over to Santosh.
Thanks. Okay. Right. So this is not a research talk, and I'm not actively looking for students. So I'll try to finish in 2 minutes. But I wanted to tell you something important, since you're probably going to have to pick up a bunch of new passwords since you're moving to a new place, new systems. So let me just tell you all my passwords. So the way we'll do this is the following. You get to give me a challenge. And when you give me a challenge, I will simply tell you my password for it. What is the challenge? It's just a website. So would anybody like to type maybe in the chat a website for which you want to know my password? if I don't have a password for it, I'll tell you what would be my password. Okay, so I'm going to take the very first one, or first one that I see. It says Gmail, and my password for Gmail would be RZNZG1 exclamation mark. There you go, in the clear. Okay, great. Now you know my password for Gmail. I'll take one more challenge now. Go ahead. My colleague says Buzzport. Buzzport. Okay. My password for Buzzport is or would be let's see, CNK RMH1 exclamation mark. There you go. Okay. So do you think you now know my password for, say, GATEC? Nah, no chance. Not just because let's assume you're super smart, you can do anything you want, you're smarter than the smartest AI, smartest computer. You still can't, because there's an information theoretic lower bound behind what I'm doing. And this is the question: what can a human compute privately in their head, no paper, pencil, computer, nothing, so that somebody observing just the input output and somebody super powerful, adversely, human computer combo, cannot figure it out? I'm sorry, not can, but cannot. That's the question. So you might think, oh, that sounds maybe difficult, maybe impossible. So in the remaining minute, I want to show you one way you can do it. Okay, and so we'll do this together. So what I need now, and you're welcome to unmute if you prefer, is we're just going to pick 3 long words. That's all. This is one of the easiest ones to learn. It'll take you a minute to learn it. Can somebody suggest a very long word, please?
How
Just a
about
long word that has a lot of
how about supercalifragilisticexpialidocious?
Yeah, the problem is that I should know how to spell it. So, so let me go with supercomputer. Okay, just to make sure that I do know how to spell it. Okay, great. Another long word.
Mississippi.
Mississippi. Okay, somebody said Mississippi. 2 P's or 1 P? One. It doesn't. Okay, that's bad. Okay, now I need one more word. But before I put that up, let me just take out all the letters that have already appeared here. So there's a C. There is an E. There is no F, no G, no H, I, yes, no K, no L, M, N, no, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, W. That's it, right? Now let's pick another word which covers a lot of what's not covered. Not all of them, just a few. Like let's make sure to get the A, B, D, for example. Okay, there's some crazy suggestions in chat. I won't go with that. Supercomputer, Mississippi. I'm going to do DAB. How about that? Okay, that's it. Those are the 3 words. Now you give me a challenge. What is the challenge? Something else that you want a password for. So let's say you want a password. So now I don't need this line anymore. You give me a challenge. Let's say the challenge is Gmail. Why not? So all I'm going to do is, in my head, supercomputer, Mississippi, DAB, I'm going to find the first occurrence of G. There is no G, so I'll just put down X in this case. First occurrence of M, and put out the next letter, supercomputer. Okay, there you go. Mississippi, DAB, B. Okay, I, Mississippi, S. So that there's no X, and then I'll put a 1 exclamation mark. That's it. You can do it. And every time you do it, you'll get faster because you're rehearsing the order in which these occur. Okay. Don't use this one, but you can come up with some other one. And if you'd like to find out more and better, even better, more fun ways to do this, you can go to this website, safepasswords.org, that my PhD student
Samir Samadi, who graduated a few years ago, built. And I hope you find it useful. I'll stop here.
Irfan, are you available to present?
Yes, I am. Can you see me?
Yes, thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Irfan Isa, and this is my website. If you can see my website right now, I'm just going to spend a few minutes to just one, of course, thank all of the faculty members who joined this whole session to kind of give you a very quick. I've been watching it, and it's been amazing to see the depth and breadth of all of the wonderful stuff that goes around here. I have different titles and stuff like that, roles at Georgia Tech, forget all that. I'm just a professor in the School of Interactive Computing. I work in computer vision, and at my website, you can learn more about the kinds of stuff we do. And also, in addition to all my stuff at Georgia Tech, I also am running a research group at Google. So for those of you who might not know, there is a Google office very close to Georgia Tech on about 12th Street and West Peachtree Spring. As I said, we have a lot of things going on. Bottom line is I actually work on computer vision, and I'll just show you. I have lots of students, and if you look at my webpage, you can see my current students and my fast students and stuff like that. One of the things I like to tell everybody is that when you graduate from my team, you get a PhD, a propeller-headed device. You might get a degree too, but this is what you also get. And more importantly, I think the kinds of stuff that we do is around things like how do we generate videos from text. So there's a lot of stuff these days going around on text to video. And I just want to show you this one new thing that we've done recently, which basically takes things like, text images and stuff like that, and uses that to generate videos like this. Now, of course, you should be scared and concerned when you see videos like this, but it's also something which could be fun and creative at the same time. And, this just basically shows that you can start really doing some both crazy and fun and scary things with content generation types of things. My team also spends a lot of time on understanding these types of content, video and images and stuff like that. Last but not least, I also lead the Machine Learning Center at Georgia Tech. And for those of you interested, there is a Slack group for machine learning, ml@gt.slack.com, and also various mailing lists. And on August 30th, we're going to have a student conference. Anybody's interested, please join our Slack group and join the activities we do. I think we still have 2 more people to go after me, and I know we're already running late. So I'm going to say thanks, great seeing, and welcome to Georgia Tech to all of you.
Hi, welcome. My name is Vlad Kolesnikov. I'm a professor at SCP and SCS, and I wanted to talk about the stuff that I'm doing research in and I'm teaching. And so the 2 topics I wanted to mention is zero knowledge proofs of knowledge and secure computation. So to give a very simple example of zero knowledge, imagine that you and your friends play Waldo, and you found Waldo, and you want to prove it to your friends that you found him, but you don't want to reveal where he is. Okay, so if you're able to do this, that means that you designed a zero knowledge proof of knowledge. So you can do this for the actual physical Waldo puzzle, and you can think about it at home. But where I want to go with this is that zero knowledge proofs are everywhere in our digital lives. One example is authentication when you go to the bank, for example. So when you go to the bank and when you connect to the bank, you have to prove yourself, right? You could tell your password, but that's not secure because then the teller, will know your password. So instead of telling your password, you really should be proving that you know your password, okay? And the way to think about it is this Waldo puzzle, right? There's a puzzle associated with you, like your public key, and then your secret key would be the solution to the puzzle, and it will be zero knowledge proof of knowledge. You probably heard the name zero knowledge proof, not in the context of banking, but in the context of blockchain. So that's also something that I'm interested in and discussed it in my courses. Another thing that we do is bug bounty. Imagine that there is a C program and I know that has a bug, so Alice here knows how to exploit the bug. And she wants to negotiate with the bug bounty program, but the bug bounty wants to know what the bug is, and Alice doesn't want to tell. So Alice could prove in zero knowledge that this specific C program has a bug. Let's say it crashes. And so we know how to do this. In tech, in our team, we can run arbitrary C programs, and very efficiently, we can prove a bug in Linux code, in a Linux gzip program in 6 seconds. We can generalize this to this general thing of secure computation, where there's Alice and Bob, and they have inputs, or more than Alice and Bob, any number of parties, they have inputs, and they want to compute an arbitrary function such that only the output of the function is revealed and the inputs are secret. And here's many, many applications that we can think about in real life.
I think that stopped abruptly, so I am going to start the last video.
Yes, that's fine.
Hello, everyone. My name is Russ Clark, and I'm here to tell you about the work we're doing as part of the Coastal Equity and Resilience Hub. We work primarily out of the Savannah campus here on the Georgia coast, but we have students joining us as part of the cohort in Atlanta, and we hope you'll be interested in being a part of that. Our group is known as the Coastal Equity and Resilience Hub, or CEAR Hub, here on the coast. A big emphasis on environmental sensing that I'll talk a little bit more about in a second, but we have a deep commitment to community engagement, working with the community to understand their needs and help address them, as well as K-12 education, doing things like summer camps and weekend programs and after-school programs to help students learn about the technology, but also how the changes in the environment are impacting their lives. At the heart of our work is a effort to design and deploy new low-cost environmental sensors. Low cost so that we can have a high density. We can deploy dozens or even hundreds of these along the Georgia coast. Big focus on water level, looking at localized flooding and impacts from storm events, but also weather data and a lot of interest in air quality. And so understanding what the impacts are both indoor and outdoors for the air that people are breathing and the environment that they're living in, and helping them understand what's there and learn more about what to do about it. So if any of this sounds interesting to you, if you're interested in working in sensor hardware, developing software for sensors and looking at data, especially visualization and working with GIS tools, please reach out. Send me an email, russ.clark@godtech.edu. Check out our work, learn more about our work at searhub.org. We're looking for students both for credit and paid positions, and we'd love for you to consider joining our cohort of students working either in Atlanta or in Savannah.
Everyone, thanks for attending, and thanks Teresa for replaying those 2 videos. And thanks everyone for attending the Fall 2024 3-Minute Madness for the College of Computing. And I will reach out to you all later on about where you can find the recording. Thanks and have a good evening.